It's a little past 1:30, so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a special Commissioners Court meeting for County of Starr, Thursday, October 26th, 1:30 p.m. Let the record show that we do have quorum, everyone being present, and everyone would please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The only thing we have is to approve payroll expenditures for October 27th. Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir. The expenditures are detailed in the report provided to you. Direct deposit checks are $331,303. Manual checks are $84,092. Health insurance is $83,356. Form 941 taxes is this is an estimate of $145,000. I wasn't able to get the exact dollar amount before this meeting, but that'll be very close. The retirement payment is $41,804. Employer Social Security and Medicare is $41,402, making total expenditures $726,959.25. And those expenditures were funded by $500,000 from the general fund, $100,000 from the road and bridge fund, $150,000 from the payroll clearing fund, and $150,000 from the international bridge. That'll leave a surplus in the payroll clearing of $173,040.75.
If I remember correctly, Mr. Carter, in our meeting Monday, our regular Commissioners Court, you mentioned we were going to transfer $200,000 from the bridge,
Yes, sir, that's correct.
but it was not needed.
But after crunching the numbers, the bridge, I wanted to be sure to leave enough operating funds in the
Correct.
bridge. Make sure they can carry on with their operations, so I lowered that by $50,000 to $150,000.
Mr. Carter, I see this number 726. It looks like a high number, a very high number for payroll. And what I'm calculating that by the end of the year, by the end of the fiscal year, we'll hit around 17 million for payroll only. About more or less.
The payroll runs in a cycle. On the last payroll of every month, both the health insurance payment and the Form 941 taxes are due. We don't have those expenses on the first payroll of the month, so the last payroll of the month is always significantly higher than the first payroll. The two payrolls average, if you average a month, it'll average about $650,000 to $700,000 per payroll. So, yes.
1.3, 1.4
Yes.
times 12. Yeah, it'll hit around 17 million. Okay.
Yes, sir.
17 million only of payroll?
Yes, sir.
And this doesn't sound right.
It doesn't sound right, but that's what it is.
Huh?
It doesn't sound right, but that's what it is.
But well, we got a $17 million budget. Where's the rest of the money, for fuel, repairs, payment of equipment, where's it gonna come from?
This is a little misleading, this amounts, because payroll also includes payroll for the bridge, for the transfer station, for the gas, for all the enterprise funds, for everything else. All that's included here. Where in the budget, I'm sorry.
I agree with you, Judge, you're correct. There will be some reimbursements to the payroll clearing fund from the enterprise funds and the bridge and the other, some other departments. So actually, this will be the immediate transaction. And there will be some follow-up transactions that will refund some money to the payroll clearing account next week.
I think the only point I'm trying to make is that we're gonna have to be very careful that anything that is not essential for the operation of the county, we're just gonna have to cut it or do without it. That was the only point I'm trying to make.
Mr. Carter, let me ask you something. But in the budget, the revenues from the income, the others, from the transfer station, all that, have already been inputted into that budget for those 17 million. So is there any more extra coming in? I couldn't understand, excuse my ignorance, but, you know.
Is there any extra coming in?
Well, but see, you will get reimbursed from the transfer station and from the gas, but all that is included in the 17 million that was budgeted, ain't it?
That's a question of semantics. It's how you look at it. Yes, the enterprise funds pay their own payroll. They do it on a reimbursement basis. The general fund pays it first, and then they reimburse, the payroll clearing account. So, yes, those enterprise funds pay their own payroll.
So let me ask you something else. That budget of 17 million, that's included all that in here or not?
I'm sorry?
The 17 million that were budgeted for this year, that includes all the money that we're going to get from the bridge, from the
Yes.
transfer station, total.
Oh, yes.
So
Yes,
Commissioner Alvarez said that it's about 17 million only in the payroll, so where are we going to get the rest of the money for the people that on the office, the POs, the office, the commissioners, and
Well, I didn't create the budget. I asked you the wrong
I didn't
question.
see it.
No, but they said, I mean,
I didn't
you know, I
think,
agree, but they say, we're looking at this, kind of hard to understand.
So what
Let
is
me ask you
that?
something, do we have a deficit in the county or not?
I wish we could find out what, but it's impossible, what the expenditures for operation for the whole county will be, because if it's another 16 million, man, we're in trouble. We
Because-
are in deep trouble.
Because you reported last time, Mr. Carter, that we were
Oh,
at
wait.
2.4 over expenditure or revenues, and then you brought in 300,000 more. So that's 2.4 over the expenditures of what actually came in. So do we have a deficit, ain't it?
A mess.
Well, yes,
Of $2.8 million, just this year alone.
Between 17
just as an example, in the audited financial statements that were presented last month, the Logan Bridge Fund has a deficit of 1.6 million by itself,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
okay? So,
You know, but
Between us here, Mr. Carter, between us here, the truth must be said. There's enough, it's already enough that we sidestep the truth. The truth must be put on the table. There's no other way about it.
well,
From whichever way, or whoever's responsibility to say the truth, it must be said. Whoever gets run over, we're sorry, I mean, and I'm sorry, and if I get run over, well, so be it.
last time that they gave us a report on the audit, and I asked you that we had a paper there that said I can still remember, 5.99238 million in the hole. Is that correct?
if I may, can I answer that?
please answer,
Okay.
Judge, if you,
Let me try and explain what that is, and this is why I keep saying that is totally false. The 6 million, I'll round it up to 6 million. Where that number comes from, whoever came up with that number, and I have my suspicions, they included everything possible. They included some bonds that we floated sometime back.
10 years ago.
Yeah, a long time back, of which we still owed about $2 million, of which we have 2.5 in INS.
Yes.
Okay, that should not have been there, because that's a separate thing. That the money is there to pay that. We could pay it right now, and we don't have that. So if you take that 2.5 million and take it off from the 6 million, that leaves 3.5 million. 2.5 are what we bridged over last year. Okay? And that is not considered debt because it's a bridge over. It has to be paid within this fiscal year, of which it was budgeted. I don't know about this new budget, but it was in mind to pay. That leaves $1 million that we owe the city of Roma for the bridge, of which we did not have to pay that either. Not right now, not all at once. The reason being, some years back, Roma owed the county. And we couldn't tell Roma, you know, I'm not gonna pay you 50,000 or 100, whatever it was, for 3 years until you pay us back. So the city manager and I got together and we said, well, what can we both live with for our budgets? And we said, we'll pay you so much. And it took them 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many years before they paid us back. Fast forward, okay. About 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whenever the instability in Mexico started, it became very difficult to calculate revenue from the bridge, because we didn't know if people were going to go across or not with all the shootings and killings that were going over there. So as any person that does budgets, I had to be conservative. So instead of predicting that and I'm just saying numbers, I don't know the numbers, but instead of me saying we're going to make $2 million at the bridge, I said we're going to make $1 million, figuring we're going to lose traffic. Well, Lord and behold, the traffic didn't stop. So instead of having $1 million, and by the way, let me backtrack a little bit. Whatever portion goes to Roma, let's say we had $1 million profit, 350,000 go to Roma, 35%. But now we have $2 million. So now we owe them 350,000 more because we had more money coming in. They get paid monthly. It's not like we can say, well, we're making more, here's more money. You know, that's earmarked in the budget as so much a month. So, Lord and behold, we ended up owing them 300,000 or whatever. Then that happened for 3 or 4. Last year was a banner year for the bridge. We had never made the money that we made last year. I couldn't budget for that kind of money, because if it didn't come, then we weren't going to end, we would be deeper in the hole. So now we owe Roma $1 million. Mr. Salinas, Crisanto, and I had gotten together, and I was working my budget, and I said, mira, Crisanto, we owe you this much. How much can I give you now over and above what we think is going to come in? Again, all these are estimates. And he said so much, so that's how it was paid. The $1 million now was budgeted to be paid in full when we didn't have to. Now, going back just a bit, when I said these are all estimates, I don't have a crystal ball to project how much money is going to come in. So if the money doesn't come in, and I've been telling everyone all along, we cannot spend it. However, I got outvoted, and it kept being spent, and more POs, and more POs. So now we're in a bind for $2 or $3 million, because the money did not come in, and we were still spending it as if there was no tomorrow. So that's the reason we're in the situation that we're in.
Mr. Carter, I think the issue here is payroll, and the facts are that payroll will be, by the end of the year, between $17 and $18 million, and those are the facts, and they cannot be disputed. Those are the facts. Your Honor, for right now, I move that we approve the payroll expenditures.
Before we go, why can't we got those $2 million that the judge tells us we got there, why can't we pay what we owe, or?
Because we can.
Well, then we ain't got
We
it.
can use it,
We
but
can.
we're gonna have to do another election.
Yeah, but,
So
you know,
we can pay
well, if
tax.
we got it there, we can't use it, then we ain't got it.
No, we can use it.
Well, let's do it.
We can use it, and if you want to, we'll pay the, whatever is owed.
We pay the bond. If you pay the bond issue off, the tax that supports that interest and sinking fund is canceled.
We're
Correct.
gonna have to do another
Okay?
election.
So then a year or two or 5 years from now, you need to build a new building or do have a major project, then you have to go back to the voters and request the voters to approve the tax again.
That's why schools do the bond elections.
Yeah, so,
Same thing.
you know, that's a decision you would have to
No,
make.
but according to that, the bond issue that was passed to get that thing, that money should be specifically used to build something, eh?
It has to be a project for
No.
those,
Yeah.
those monies.
So then, I mean, so how can we get it unpaid if we don't?
Well, because that is debt that we have, and that is the $2 million or whatever
It's on
that
a
we still
regular,
owe.
it's on a regular semi-annual payment plan.
Yeah.
Okay, we make an interest and principal payment every 6 months. So we'll debit the interest and sinking fund and make the payment every 6 months.
We can pay it right now. I mean, if you don't want to, you know, we can put it on the next agenda, we pay it and we're done. But as Mr. Carter says, if sometime down the road, you all need to build something, guess what? We need to go to the public, get them to pass a bond election so that we can do that and start an INS again.
You know you're facing a major
We-
project with the old courthouse.
It's got to happen.
That's not, the historical commission not gonna help us on that one?
The reason they haven't, Commissioner, and we applied several times, is that they want us to knock down several floors. 99, Judge Martinez and the administration at that time decided to add 2 floors to the existing first floor, and they want us to knock that down. They want us to take it back to the way it was in 1935 or whenever it was built. And that's a problem that we have. We don't have enough space for our people. So my thing is I wanted them to help us without having to knock that. We applied twice. Both times we did not score high enough because they called it a refurbishing job and not a I'm sorry?
Not a new construction.
Yeah, not a restoration, and they fund restoration. So that's the reason we didn't score high enough. Now, Henry Quinn did get us $8 million, but it was all loan, and it's still there. It's probably now $10 million to do it, but the $8 million is still there. You know, we've been trying to get some grant, but grants are almost non-existent anymore.
Your Honor, let me ask you one thing, and this is just my opinion, it is the historical building. You cannot change the stairs. You cannot change much stuff. And the problem with that courthouse are the stairs. So why are we gonna invest money in that building? It's unsafe for people to come in there and climb up the stairs because you can't move it. So what's the purpose of getting money from the historical commission if you cannot correct the problem that we have there?
Yeah.
In my opinion, so, I mean.
And I agree with you, Commissioner. You know, and I've had that argument before. The thing is that building was designated a historical site, and those are the rules we need to play by. You know, not only us, anyone that has a historical courthouse. Zapata, they did not have a historical courthouse, so they were able to build a brand new one. Yeah,
Wiped it off.
and that would be cheaper for us too. But unfortunately, we can't do that. You know.
This is just my opinion. I think,
No, and I agree.
and I think it's up to you. It is my opinion. I think we should get those monies, pay off what we owe to continue operating in a professional manner, pay our debt, our creditors on time. And if we need to build something, I think we need to bring it to the public and let them decide and us to sell the project to the taxpayers.
Sometimes the public is not wrong. A lot of times, a high percentage of the time, the public is not wrong. They don't know what to do when the time comes.
You know,
They don't know what to do.
You know, but then again, I'm not opposing that paying, but the thing is, I want everyone to be completely clear. If we do that, that doesn't help our situation one bit. One bit.
It doesn't help the problem we have with the financial problem.
No, sir, not one bit.
Entonces, we got a problem with the deficit, because if we,
And that's
if
what
we
I'm
pay you those $2 million, we still got financial
No,
problems.
no,
Okay, let's not confuse
Yeah.
debt with operating deficit.
Correct.
Okay, they're two different things. Yes, we have some debt, a small amount, as Judge Vedder pointed out. The debt is manageable. The operating deficit is problematic. And how Commissioner's Court addresses that, that's up to you. I'm the accountant, I provide the numbers.
Operating deficit, you said.
Yes, your operating deficit means your purchase orders exceed your revenues.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
On a monthly or an annual basis, however you want to calculate it. And yes, last year, as I reported in the prior meeting, Last year, especially in the Road and Bridge Fund, expenditures exceeded the revenues.
And it,
This year, the budget, the total budget was reduced, and again, the total revenue is allocated 100%. There's no margin, there's no cushion, there's no room for give and take. So if the expenditures exceed the budget, you're digging a hole deeper.
That's right. But
as hard as it sounds, Mr. Carter, as hard as it sounds, we need to implement a hiring freeze and cut more people. I mean, as hard as it sounds, we have to cut more people, bring it down to a level that this payroll can be manageable by this county.
if every department stays within their budget, there shouldn't be no problem. Am I right or wrong?
I think what, you know,
17 million, we'll have a problem.
The ideal thing to do, and I don't know if it's legally possible, is to have a budget and reduce everyone. And then say, this is how much you have for the year. If the monies come in that we think will come in, then we'll give you more towards the end of the year. See, the problem with budgeting is that you make a budget at the beginning of the year, the fiscal year, guessing that this is what's gonna come in. And that doesn't come in, and yet everyone spends everything that was allocated, whether it comes in or not.
I agree with you on that, but it only targets the commissioner, it don't targets the offices. They don't wanna lay off people, they don't wanna do anything.
Well, that's why I'm saying, you know, where everyone
That's what I'm saying,
would be cut.
yes, you
and
wanna
then
come
at
to the
end, they
commissioner
come
to cut down, but the offices everywhere continue with the,
I never got a good number
The
on how many
auditor's
people
office
were.
working in conjunction, there's a check and balances system. And I'm a key, the county auditor is a key part of that. So, you know, I came in very late in the year last year, some things were already out of control, and beyond my ability to influence them. This year, we're starting off fresh. I've got a clearer picture of what's going on, and I'll be watching like a hawk.
Armandina, you never gave us a number, how many people were actually cut? Some say 50, 30, whatever. You never could come up with a number, right?
We had a total of, according to our last payroll, we had a total of 35 employees that were terminated.
35, the magic number should have been 80.
And leaves paid out for those 35 was $26,000 of leaves paid out for those 35.
Well, I mean, we couldn't escape that. We couldn't get away from that.
So I have a statement to make.
Yes, sir.
And this is gonna be, it's very unpleasant for me to make this statement, but I might as well be truthful now. And that is that I have done some review of the budget that was approved. In the budget that was approved, there are several departments whose order of salaries greatly exceeds the budgeted amount. And for those departments, a day of reckoning is gonna come. I'm premature in making this statement because I don't have the exact numbers. And at this point in time, I don't want to name names or
Right.
specify particular departments or department heads. But I can tell you that there are several departments in the county that the orders of salaries that were submitted from day one already significantly exceed the total payroll budgeted. And when the payroll runs out, which will probably happen about next May or June, that's the end.
Mr. Carl, let me step. Is this, those that have you gone through, do they have monies in the budget to move to those salaries or not?
No,
No?
no.
I know, because, let me tell you that, and I checked them by, they gave me a list. To me, the number that they told me that was for employees is way up too high. There's no way that's, but I might be wrong. But if so, I'm waiting, my secretary had a death from her family, her father passed away. Coming in, I would go back to all the employees I have, calculate how much money is needed, okay? if the numbers that she's telling me that that is money have to be implemented, that I sure will change it to there, make sure that my employees have a salary all year round, whichever I have to cut. But I'm gonna double check.
And it'd be good, Mr. Carter, for those departments to know whoever they are. So maybe they can start implementing a 4-day week or something to bring
I'm
in
in
the
the
process.
process of composing formal letters to those departments. Those departments will be notified in writing with the appropriate facts and figures included. And that's,
So there are departments that don't have money to move around to get the payroll.
money to move around is irrelevant. The
Right.
the
Well, that's what I'm
answer
saying
is,
is-
it's either budgeted or it's not. If the order of salaries exceeds what's budgeted, then it's the department head's responsibility to solve that problem.
I agree with you. And if you ain't got no money, you gotta let them go, get it
Patricia,
paid.
you hear that right now, right?
Mhm.
Make sure we're right. I don't wanna receive a letter.
Like I said, mine shows that I need somebody in the payroll account. But I'm gonna double check. I don't know if, like I said, I didn't submit a budget. They implemented what I had last year. So I don't know if they included the change order,
If the expenditures exceed the revenues, you're simply digging the hole deeper. You're
I agree with
adding
you,
to operating
100%.
deficit, okay?
That's right.
And it's, as county auditor, I'm the watchdog. I'm supposed to notify you when that's about to happen, and,
But you don't have money to pay. And it's right.
yes,
I've got a conference call at 2 o'clock, so I need to wrap this
I
up.
already made a motion, Your Honor.
second, Your Honor.
Moved and second to go ahead and approve the expenditures. Any further discussion? All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I don't think we have anything for executive session. do we? No? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Your Honor. Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, please, aye.
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 All in favor?